Babaji?
Yeah.
I have the feeling that you were walking us through the syllables a, u, and that compose aum.
Right.
And I got that a is the undifferentiated, that u is knowledge becoming specific. Is sound then the last thing that you alluded to, the coming together?
I'm sorry?
Or I may have misunderstood that part.
The coming together of
Perhaps
what?
you could explain the final, the sound in aum.
Yes. Well, you can think of the final nasal, the I try not to call it the M. This is the full stop.
I resisted the temptation too.
This is the full stop. This is the thing that we're waiting for when the sequence of the sentence is taking place. We're waiting for that full stop, for that period at the end of the sentence, so we can know what the guy was talking about. Curiously enough, we use the dot at the end of the sentence when we write in the modern world, or much of the modern world, and it's the same dot called the bindu that's used in giving this sense of completion to a syllable in Indian grammar and tantra.
You said that on the everyday earthly level, Ishvara is the guru. You listed some other roles or offices, so to speak, but are you communicating that in order to that's the old tradition, that's the point at which we access on a relational level the continuity of wisdom from the ancients?
Yeah, that's fair to say. That's fair to say, yes. But you see, there's more to it than that. Because the Bhartrihari Sphota, his own commentary on Vakyapadiyya, interesting he uses this word vritti. Vritti will come up again and again and again. He makes it clear that the corrupt forms of Vak are a sin, and that all speech is not sacred. And in fact, the real the confusion that we have in our lives and in our societies and in the world is based on the corrupt use of Vak. Chomsky basically blames the powers that be, the mass media, the corporate entities, the various governments of the world and so forth. He blames them for hiding the truth with the mask of language. So this is much more than an issue of speaking properly and speaking clearly and making yourself known. It's even more than the means of knowing ourselves, that ultimately this has a display, a manifestation in the affairs of the world itself. That when Vak is purified, as it were, it creates prosperity. And when Vak is corrupted, it creates the opposite. So we cannot expect normally, unless we get very lucky, that prosperity is going to come from ignorance. More often, prosperity is going to come from knowledge. Now this is why in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra that he makes this very strong point about truth. Because you see, we can use the structures of grammar, and we could use the etymologies of words to make things, to make articulations and make expressions and make dhwani that represents a very corrupt form of Vak, that does not make people's lives better, that does not make our lives better, that does not make the world a better place, but in fact increases our suffering on all levels. And so when the ancient Vedic rishis would perform the sacrifice, the yajna, this is one of the exercises involved, was the purification of Vak, of articulation, to where the various means leading towards ignorance, and these are all mental means, of course. Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, as I said several times already, is not a physical body thing, it is a mental thing. It can also almost be thought of as a psychological thing. And the same is true for Bhartrihari. That there are mental processes going on that are all reflected in speech, in the way that we articulate and the way that we hear, which is basically the same process, which create the ignorance. And as we understand these processes, the understanding and the focus on them, as described by Patanjali, the more that we do this, the illusions and the ignorance and the obvious mistakes fall away quickly, and then of course for the greater illusions, it takes more time and more effort and more sadhana. But this is ultimately what is interesting to me, coming from these great thinkers, these great grammarians, their approach to understanding ourselves and removing ignorance from ourselves and our lives, and creating prosperity for the world.